Welcome back to Counterpoint. We're unpacking the recent papal conclave and discussing the newly elected Pope, Pope Leo XIV. And joining me for that discussion here in studio is Father Grayson Hope and Dr. Christian Elia. Christian, we were all waiting with bated breath to see who this new face would be, who would be the new pontiff of the Catholic Church. And out walks Cardinal Robert Prevost. I think a lot of people were surprised. I was. What was your initial reaction, firstly?
It's funny because I'm proud of my Latin. I studied Latin a little bit, and I'm proud of my ecclesial Latin. So, you're Cardinalum Robertum.
Yes.
And at first I thought, oh my goodness, could it be Cardinal Sarah?
Right, Robert Sarah.
If right, it could. So I was a little bit excited about that. I didn't see it lightly, and I don't mind saying, an older and very well-known churchman for a very long time, and he would have been the first Black African pope. That in itself would have been historic and groundbreaking as well. And then when I kept hearing this and I heard Prevost, I said, "Oh my goodness, could it be?" And I didn't necessarily have him in my top 3 or 4 picks, but it's funny how that works, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But who is he? Well, he's American, yes. He's also Augustinian. Just, Pope Francis belonged to a religious order. In his case, it was the Jesuits, right? Pope Leo XIV also did all of his ministry through the Augustinians. So and that, again, we can extrapolate from that a little bit as well, perhaps from his spirituality too. Yes, he's American, but he's not your typical American. In fact, that he was bishop in a diocese outside of the United States in Peru, and he addressed them in Spanish from the balcony when he came out on the loggia as well. A diocese that certainly no one had heard of,
Right,
even in Peru, from other parts of the country. And very comfortable, obviously. In fact, he has dual citizenship as well. He has American and Peruvian citizenship. And even in positions that he's had, even before as a bishop, he's very international, certainly very good in linguistics. He's a scholar. And
Right.
we didn't see that with the previous pope, who did not have a doctorate. This one here is a canonist as well. So he also has a specialty in canon law.
So let me ask Father Hope. So we have a missionary priest, a scholar, a canonist, belonging to this order. He was the head of the Augustinians. How do some of those characteristics help him in his role?
Well, actually, he wrote his doctoral dissertation on the role of a leader in the local community of Augustinians, and the points he made in his thesis, can be go up. So we know exactly from that what kind of leader he'll be. And he also has an advantage previously working in the Congregation for Bishops. So he knows many of the world's bishops already through that ministry, advising the Pope on the selection of future bishops and all that.
And that's important because at the end of the day, it's an international church. It's not like it's just in Italy or in Rome. And every region has different nuances. Father, maybe you can speak to this, but where has the Catholic Church seen a lot of growth in terms of evangelization and numbers lately? It's probably the southern continent.
We've seen a lot of growth in Africa, but a few weeks ago, we saw reports from the UK and France. So there has been a lot of new young adults coming into the faith, bucking the trend of decline, as well I believe in Vancouver, a bunch of more. They've seen a bumper crop of young people re-enter into the church.
And I think that's an interesting point to observe, because one thing I've seen more with this Gen Z, if you will, coming up is they really are truth seeking. You cannot have a veneer. They want the straight goods, or don't say it at all, basically.
We could have an hour-long debate about, the modernism, postmodernism, post-postmodernism. We're not going to do that. But it seems like the younger generations, they're behind. They might be unchurched themselves, but they're not disgruntled.
Yes.
They don't have any problems with the church. In fact, they're curious what the church might have to offer. Like all human beings, I believe that this to be essentially a human trait. They perceive that there's something more than just, going about our daily existence, right? They have that feeling for the what is metaphysical.
Okay, we have 15 seconds.
That's summed up beautifully in St. Augustine's line. The heart
The heart is restless.
restless until it rests in thee, which
Okay.
Pope Leo quoted in one of his homilies.
Okay, good point. We're going to cut to commercial break, but we're going to continue discussion in just a few moments.